Made it to the end of the week here. Hope you had a great week and you're starting off the weekend with some good about some things that have been going on in the news related to celebrities and pop culture. And if you are here on the live, let me know you are here by saying hashtag Aries Crew. If you are a returning Aries Crew member, let me know if it's your first time watching by saying first time in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for spending part of your day here with us. I'm going to take a quick drink of water here and then we're going to get going into the topics I have lined up for the show tonight. All right, so we have about 5 topics we're going to touch on tonight. We're going to talk about Dawn Robinson, a former lead singer with In Vogue. That was one of the first groups that she came out with. She also was with Lucy Pearl, and she was in that group along with Raphael Sadiq. We're going to talk a little bit about her. She's recently shared her living situation, so we're going to talk about that and a job offer that she's received. We got to talk about Offset, who's the estranged husband of Cardi B. And we got to talk about a recent situation that's gone on with him. Wendy Williams was on The View today, so we're going to talk a little bit about Wendy Williams and what's been going on in her conservatorship situation. And we're going to talk a little bit about Kim Kardashian. She was trying to get a Bible from the OJ estate, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And today was the memorial for Angie Stone, so we're going to briefly touch on that. And first off, talk about Dawn Robinson. So she was a lead singer with In Vogue. It was a all-female ensemble group, a very good R&B group. They were big in the late 80s, early 90s. They had a lot of hits, a lot of recognizable songs. What's It Gonna Be is probably one of their more popular songs, along with Free Your Mind. They also had Never Gonna Get It, Hold On, Give It Up, Turn It Loose, a lot of hits. So if you are not familiar with them, look them up. You can find their music on YouTube. In Vogue, fabulous group out of Oakland, California. And then she also did some work with Lucy Pearl, and she was in that group along with Raphael Sadiq, who was also part of Tony, Tony, Tony. And they had a hit in the 2000s, and that was what's that song? I'm thinking of it in my head. It's going to come to me while I am talking, and then I'll probably randomly mention it during the live. So give me a few moments to recall that song. I can think of how it sounds. I just can't think of the chorus right now. And let's see, Wavy. Thank you for being on here. Appreciate you. And she also did some work with Dr. Dre's group Firm. That wasn't very long. I understand she was just on one song with them, but she has been at it In Vogue for a few years now. They did reunite at some point, but I guess that didn't end up working out more long term. And she recently revealed that she's been living in her vehicle for the last 3 years, which is pretty sad because they were a pretty good selling group. So I felt like she was kind of at the top of their game when she was with those groups. They had a lot of popularity and their music sold really well, but it just goes to show there's not a whole lot of money in the music industry. So maybe that was the case here. I don't know what her contract setups were, or she just didn't save enough money to be able to survive once the record sales kind of slow down. But nonetheless, she talked a little bit about how she ended up in this situation. She said that her financial trouble started during the pandemic in 2020, and that kind of makes sense. There were shutdowns that were going on, especially in California, and they did last for a while. So it's probably challenging trying to book concerts and different things when there were restrictions on in-person activities or how many people could be there. And then from there, she said she went to go live with her parents in Vegas. And that went well for a while, and then it just ended up not working out. She said her mom was angry all the time. She was always mad, so I guess that was just a situation that she didn't want to continue to be in. So she said she had a co-manager at the time that had convinced her to come back to California, and that he had some space for her, I guess, in the place he was staying. And when she came here, he didn't really have space for her. And she just kind of stayed in a series of hotels, and he wasn't really looking seriously into finding her somewhere to stay, like an apartment, something more long term and not short term. So that living situation kind of fizzled out, and she said at that point she started to look into how to live in the car and saw that there's this whole car community and kind of a different way of living style kind of community that she found. And she just started living out of her vehicle, and she takes showers at the local gym that she has a membership to. And that kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting to hear that, especially not for 3 years. So that was that was a lot to take in. But one of the things that came out of that is she was offered a job opportunity by her ex-husband, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Take a small break here to look at the comments. Bane, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. How was your week? If you have any plans for the weekend, let me know. And if this is your first time here, let me know you are a first time watcher in the comments. If you are a returning Aries crew member, let me know by saying hashtag Aries crew in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for stopping by. If you haven't already done so, please like the video. It helps get the word out on YouTube that I'm live and gets more eyes. It helps the channel to grow. We're looking to get to 1,800 subscribers, so that would be greatly appreciated. And let's jump back into the story. So her ex-husband, Andre Allen, let me know if you're familiar with him. I don't recognize the name, but I guess he was a part of the music industry and he had some success in the music industry as well. So if you know him or you know a song that he's done or a song he's done with a group, let me know in the comments. Want to check it out. But they were married. He was married to Don Robinson from 2003 to 2010, and the marriage did not end well, but he is still extending an olive branch by way of a job opportunity to her. So I guess he works with Hilton Brands and thinks that she would be really great at taking her talents and using them for sales, and that it's more stable and she'll probably make more money than she is in the music industry. And he was in the music industry himself as a solo singer and a part of a group. For example, he earned 2 Grammys and has had some other success as well in that industry. And he was able to transition from music into the business world and says that he's loaned notable music and industry friends money, and that he's even seen some die in poverty. And I believe that. I used to watch, if you guys remember, let me know in the comments, on VH1, they used to have a show, Behind the Music, and that's where you got to hear a lot of stories about a lot of artists. See, now you have YouTube and all these other different things where you can keep up and kind of see what's going on with people in real time, but that time you didn't always have that information right as it was happening. So you got to hear the backstories of things that were going on behind the scenes that you didn't necessarily know about or get a chance to see. And you heard about a lot of artists saying that they didn't get really good contracts and they weren't making a lot of money. They could be selling millions of records, they could be, platinum, and they still weren't rich because of the way their contracts were structured. They weren't the ones benefiting the most from those sales. It was their record label. So it's unfortunately a story that's been, said and done over and over again. And now with these other mediums and different ways where you can be an independent artist and get your music out there outside of a established record label, you probably have more opportunities to own and be in control of your music. But at the earlier years, you really needed to have a machine behind you to get your music out there because it costs a lot of money, whether that's getting them pressed and album covers and everything that goes into that. So those times you had to rely heavily on record labels in order to get enough exposure to become big. So sometimes you just kind of got to deal with what you got. But he was able to go from that world into the business world successfully, and by being able to do that, he had enough money to loan to friends, and he doesn't want to see that kind of poverty or Don struggling. And I think that's great. If your marriage didn't end well, but you're still willing to help out when you see that they're going through some difficulties in their life, I think that just speaks to him. And I think it speaks to her as well that he would care enough to offer and try to see her be in a better situation. So he's offering her a position with free medical from day one, and she'll earn paid time off to be able to juggle her career. So if she still wants to do music, it looks like she'll still have that opportunity to do that. So he allegedly made this offer to her before the homeless situation ended up occurring, but we'll see if she accepts that or not, if the circumstances have made him more open to that. So Andre Allen believes that Dawn's ego in the industry disillusioned her. So, we'll see if she's willing to accept the help and use that to kind of get back on her feet. There's no shame in that. Sometimes we all need a little bit of help. Let me know in the comments if you take that offer. I mean, free medical sounds really good to me. Medical is expensive. So if you're getting that starting day one, I mean, that to me is a pretty good perk. So you got my attention for sure. And Mel, thanks for being here. Welcome. Appreciate you. We're going to get off into our next story. So Offset, who is the estranged husband of Cardi B, is also a member of the Migos rap group. And he's in the news again. This time it's not a story related to Cardi, though. So it looks like he got into some trouble out in California. So he was visiting a shop for Mary Jane. And this is YouTube, so follow me. He was going to get some Mary Jane. And this allegedly took place yesterday evening, last night. And it took place at a facility called Medman LAX, and he went in there with some people that were going along with him and his group, like an entourage type of situation. And security wasn't sure if he had shown ID, I guess, because you do need to show ID, show proof that you are old enough to be in a Mary Jane shop in order to enter in. So how he even got in without showing that, I'm unclear on. But if that did occur in some instance, I guess security wasn't sure. And Offset was in the process of showing ID when allegedly security had rushed him in an aggressive manner and spitting in his face. And then that caused a fight to break off, and more security guards got involved in the fight, and allegedly a security guard got punched. So they did end up going to the hospital. This is being reported by TMZ. The extent of their injury is not known, so we don't know if it was something really bad or something minor. And the police were called, but I guess Offset and the people that were with him were not there when the police arrived. So we'll keep an eye on this story to see if they're going to press charges or if anything else comes from that. So crazy, probably going there not for the purpose of having this whole situation occur, but unfortunately, it looks like it got a little bit out of hand. It's too bad it couldn't have been handled in a different way, and we'll just keep an eye out to see what goes on from there with that story. And then we're going to talk about Kim Kardashian. So she was trying to buy a Bible from the estate of O.J. Simpson. So her father, Robert Kardashian Sr., was friends with O.J. Simpson for a very long time. I think they maybe met in the college years or maybe right after college, but it was kind of early on in their lives. And she kind of grew up with him up until the point of the situation where his ex-wife had lost her life along with the friend Ronald Goldman. He had been very friendly. The Kardashian family and O.J. Simpson's family had been very friendly. So Robert had given a Bible to O.J., and I guess he had handwritten an inscription in there. And his estate items are now being auctioned off so that he could pay the liability that's owed to the Goldmans and to the Brown family for the murders that he was found guilty of in a civil lawsuit. He still owed them money, and up until his passing, he had not paid that off. So it looks like his estate is on the hook for needing to pay that back to those families. So part of how they're going to raise those funds is auctioning off items that O.J. Simpson owned, and one of those items was a Bible that he had gotten from Robert Kardashian. And that's the father of Kim Kardashian. And she wanted to get that back. And she had reached out to O.J. Simpson's attorney in an attempt to buy it and offered to pay $15,000 for it. But unfortunately, that offer was turned down because O.J. Simpson's estate attorney said that he couldn't sell it if he wanted to her because at this point it was a part of the auction, so it would cause all other legal situations to occur if that item was removed. And he said just the cost of the paperwork and the attorney fees alone, just to probably have to withdraw that item to even have the ability to sell, he said would be costing 15,000 or more, so it wasn't worth it, and that she can bid on it like everybody else is bidding on it to see if she can get that item. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Those families are always going to be intertwined in some form or fashion because Robert Kardashian did serve on the defense team for O.J. Simpson, and that allegedly caused a wedge in between his relationship with his ex-wife, Kris Jenner, who was on the side of Nicole Brown Simpson's family. That was one of her best friends. So she really felt that OJ had did it and was against Robert participating in the defense for that. So I understand that was a really tense time for their family. So, an interesting item to get for a situation that's kind of remembered for the loss of two lives and still the question of whether or not he did it because OJ was convicted civilly, but he was found not guilty in the criminal trial, so he never actually got any jail time for that, but he did owe money to those families based on that civil lawsuit being won by them. So we'll see how that goes. We'll keep an eye out on that auction and see if Kim Kardashian bids on it and wins that Bible that she wants to get from her dad. And Wendy Williams, so the gossip talk show host, has been going through a lot of different things with this conservatorship since it started about 2 years ago. So I was unclear on when it started because it seemed like her show kind of fizzled out, and then they kind of came out and just said the show was going to go off there. It's going to be replaced with the Sherry Shepherd show. And then she went through some, different things publicly where you could tell she was probably having some issues with substances. It's my understanding she was a drinker. And, some of the times she was being interviewed or some of the times she was found out, she was looking disheveled, kind of slurring her words. What she was saying didn't really make sense. So you could tell she was going through a hard time. She had also just had her relationship end with her husband, who she had been with for a very long time, Kevin Hunter, and he had a child with a woman that he was seeing on the side of his marriage with Wendy. So that's when she decided this marriage isn't going to work anymore. She always said that her breaking factor is anytime there's kids involved, she was going to be done with the relationship. And once it was known that the side relationship that Kevin was having was producing a child, Wendy filed for divorce. But that was also when things kind of started to spiral for her because I think a lot was tied into that relationship for her. She had started with him. He had been her manager for a really long time. So he helped her when she was on radio, helped her to get the TV deal that landed her talk show. So they were a big part of each other's lives and they share a child together, Kevin Hunter Jr. So it was understandable that she went through a hard time there. It was just unfortunate that it had to be in front of everybody because she was famous. And then, she just kind of disappeared and you didn't really know what was going on. And the next thing you know, you hear she's in a conservatorship and it just seemed like it came out of nowhere. Well, since that has all gone down, there's a Free Wendy movement that's going on here because she's been doing different interviews like with the Breakfast Club and Harvey Levin from TMZ. And she's also did interviews with Don Lemon, and she was also on The View recently talking about her situation and how she feels like she's in a luxury prison. She doesn't think she needs to be in this guardianship anymore, and they are being unnecessarily restrictive to her, where she doesn't even have her own phone with contacts in there where she can call her family or friends. She has to go through the guardian in order to get that information. She has to have approval from the guardian to even leave her room and go anywhere. So she can't really come and go or live as freely as she wants to. It's monitored and has to be approved, pretty much everything that she does. So she's trying to get her story out there because she wants to get out of this situation. And from everybody who's spoken to her that knows Wendy more so than just seeing her on TV is saying that she seems like she is cognizant and able to manage herself and maybe does not need to be in this guardianship or doesn't need to be as restrictive as it is right now. But the biggest question I had and others had is, how did it even start? And she spoke with TMZ's Harvey Levin about this, and she also spoke about it on The View today when she was kind of given a little backstory on it when she was asked about that. And it looks like it kind of was triggered by her son. There was some unusual activity that was going on in her bank account, and Wells Fargo was monitoring that. And there were some questions about money being withdrawn and some expenses that were coming out from there. And at that time, they determined that they needed to put her into a guardianship because they felt like she was being taken advantage of financially. And at the time, she said she was open to that because it was protecting her money and she wanted to make sure that she didn't lose money. But, since then, circumstances have changed and she doesn't feel that that same level of involvement and restriction is needed anymore because she's in a different place. She is sober. She's staying away from alcohol, and she wants to be able to get in touch with her family and friends, go shopping if she wants to, have access to her money. And so she recently was rushed to the hospital and she took a psych test and she got a 10 out of 10. She was able to pass that. And we'll see what the next level is of what comes from that if she's able to get out of this conservatorship when she can finally get in front of a judge and plead her case. We're definitely keeping an eye out. If you watch that interview on The View, let me know your thoughts on it. And if you're a Wendy Williams fan, in the comments, let me know. If you're going to watch that View interview, give me a 1. If you already saw it, leave a 2. If you're not going to watch it at all, leave a 3. And if you are here, let me know if you are a returning Aries Crew member by saying hashtag Aries Crew in the comments. Or if you're a first time watcher, let me know by the first time watcher in the comments. I'm going to give you a shout out for being here. And our last one I'm going to talk about tonight is Angie Stone. So she is a neo soul singer, R&B singer. She also was a part of one of the very first rap female groups that was signed to the Sugar Hill Records label back in 1979, and that's The Sequence. And so she's got a long, rich, and deep history in music, and she recently passed away at the age of 63 in a car accident. So the Sprinter van that she was in, along with 8 other people, ended up flipping over. I'm not sure of why it flipped over initially, but after it flipped over, it was hit by, my understanding, an 18-wheeler, a large truck, and that may have been at the point in which Angie lost her life, and she was the only person in the vehicle that lost her life. So everybody else that was there lived except for Angie Stone. And they recently had her memorial service today. From what I was able to see, it looked like it was a 3-hour service. I couldn't watch it all. I saw a little bit of it, but I am going to watch that and then I'll do a discussion of that on here. I loved her music. One of my favorite songs that she did was Wish I Didn't Miss You. And I, definitely hope she is resting in peace. That is a musical legend that will be missed, that had a lot of influence on artists that we hear today and music that we hear today. She even had a relationship with D'Angelo. They share a son together, and she had a lot to do with crafting his sound and his music. So she was a part of music history, whether that be behind the scenes or in front of it, and that legacy will live on through the classics that she made. And I definitely want to hear what your favorite Angie Stone song is. Let me know in the comments. And make sure, if you haven't already done so, that you like the video, share this out to family and friends. It helps get out in the YouTube algorithm here and lets more people see this video. We're trying to reach 1,800 subscribers on here. So if you can help us reach that by summer, we would appreciate that. And you can do so by becoming a subscriber today. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you can find out anytime I go live, upload videos, shorts, and post on the page. Thank you for watching. We'll be back on live for the weekend, and have a great rest of your day.